Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay, he's Maddie, and this is Yankee and the Brit, and we are back with Week 11 Sunday show.
Yeah, welcoming guys to the Yankee and the Brit Sunday preview show, which also happens to be our Miami Dolphins versus Washington Commanders halftime show, finishing off with some fantasy must picks as well. So to start off the show, we're going to talk about the first half of the Miami Dolphins versus the Washington Commanders is 6-6 at halftime before going over Thursday night football, looking ahead to all of the Sunday games, picking all the games on the spreads as well. So look out for that, as well as some fantasy must picks at the end of the show. So we're in for a fun one. Jay, the game in Spain has been looking good. I think it's a good start to football in Spain, but is this perhaps the lowest scoring shootout of all time? Because I feel like the ball has been moving from end to end throughout the whole game. No defense can stop anyone until they're 5 yards out from the line.
I think you watch soccer way too often is what that proves, that you are so used to not scoring. Like, I've been watching this game and thinking, wow, they got fucked.
Yeah, it's 4 scoring drives, and all the field goals are like within 30 yards. Like they've got to the red zone every single time. Like in this game, and neither team can really stop the run effectively until we get to the end. It's like the Dolphins have already put up 106 yards, 65 yards of rushing. The Commanders have put up 173 yards, 130 yards of passing, 60 yards of rushing in that game. It's at 5.6 yards of play. Like, if you read that out as the first half of the game, you wouldn't expect the scores to be 6-6. But is this just the effect of two not great football teams, not great offenses, and then not great red zone offenses either. Not great defenses and not great red zone offenses either.
Yeah, this is what happens when two shit teams play each other.
Yeah, and I think it's what happens when two shit teams play each other in an international game on the road. I mean, Devon Achane looks amazing. Like, as always, like Devon Achane just looks incredible. But aside from that, we're not seeing much. I did like that it's the two quarterbacks from Hawaii, Tua Tagovailoa and Marcus Mariota, and they both went 5-0 to start the game, and the commentator made the joke of like Hawaii 5-0. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Funny. That was a good one. But apart from that, Jay, the only real thing of note, apart from noticing the ball's been going up and down, but nobody's been scoring any points, it's just, have you seen the referees at the start were making the calls to the crowd, like delay of game calls in really bad Spanish, like Spanish where they were having to just think of it over. It was like, guys, these people have been watching the games in English. You don't need to switch to Spanish throughout the game. Like, what the hell was that for?
They're being inclusive. I don't know. I don't pay attention to a lot of the shit that's being said on the TV. Half the time I watch the TV on mute.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. But the refereeing calls, they were making them in Spanish. And then I think they stopped after the first quarter, but they were making them in really slow, really bad Spanish. It looked like he'd forgotten what the call was by the time he'd actually said the call, because he was trying to think of it in Spanish. But yeah.
Probably feeding it to him in his earpiece.
Yeah, probably right. Jay, it's 6-6 at the half. Who do you think's been the better of two not great teams, and who do you think's going to come out with the win in the second half?
I think neither of them have been better. But no, I like the last drive. I think, you run out of time sometimes on that final drive. Granted, if you had more time, they'd coach different. I didn't think it was horrible, the last drive of the half. I think if they would have had more time, they probably would have figured out how to get in the end zone, which kind of hurts the Commanders. But, I mean, the Commanders were chasing the Dolphins at the end of the half. So if I have to pick one, the Dolphins were probably playing better.
Yeah, for me, I think the Dolphins had the Dolphins have like more ability to be explosive. Obviously, the second half started now. The Commanders are on their opening drive, the 3rd and 1. But obviously, I think the Dolphins possess more explosive play in a low-scoring game, and you can do that. And as I say that, Jacoby Krosky-Merritt, no, Chris Rodriguez makes a huge start. But no, Devon Achane is the best player on the field when he steps on, and that makes me think the Dolphins will come away with this game. Their speed looks like it's a real struggle. They just need to get into the end zone and not give away pre-snap penalties before you get there. But that's what bad teams do, pre-snap penalties.
And it makes me feel like the Commanders will figure out how to win this game because they're playing with their backup and still not getting beat.
Yeah, and they're probably a better run team. And
there you go. Get me
for a touchdown.
Get in there. I need those points. Get in there. Did he get in?
Yeah, Debo gets in there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they called it a touchdown, but I don't know if you saw if they confirmed it. And I know you're always.
I haven't seen if they confirmed it.
Okay.
I haven't seen if they've confirmed it. That looks like a touchdown to me.
A play ahead of me, it seems like, on these international games.
Yeah, that looks like a touchdown to me. Yeah, he's in. He's in.
All right,
yeah,
I just need those fantasy points, man. I need those.
Yeah. That's a touchdown for Debo. So as we were just speaking, the Washington Commanders, big explosive drive down the field, and good to see Debo Samuels making a big play. He's been kind of slow for most of the season. He's been kind of slow, but this might turn into a good game. And the Washington Commanders are generally a better coach team. But from what I've seen in the actual play, I think the Dolphins' offense is better than the Commanders' defense by a pretty long way. And obviously, I had the Dolphins as a best bet, so I hope they do pull out the win at the end. Jade, looking back to Thursday night, talking about a bad team, the New York Jets go 1-7 after losing against the New England Patriots. Again, I don't think much to talk about here on this game. Like, if you have any talking points from it, that would be great, because all I've really got is Drake May comes out, gets the job done, like he looks good, leaves the field with MVP chance. And Jay, with the quarterback, with like the quarterback play so far in the league, no one's standing out, especially could Drake May's MVP candidacy, is that legitimate? Like, do you think Drake May could be the MVP of the league this year?
Yeah, he's definitely in the conversation right now. We got a little less than a half a season to figure out, all the awards at the end, and it is usually a quarterback award. But on the other end of that, after watching that game, like, Justin Fields should literally be banned from playing quarterback in the NFL.
I watched Justin Fields in that game after, like, I stayed up and watched some of the game. I didn't stay up and watch all of the game. And then I watched the rest of the game later. But I checked the score and I checked the stats. And I checked the stats, and I think Justin Fields has 116 passing yards and it's like 64 rushing yards. And I looked at that and went, that's a good game from Justin Fields. And then I immediately went, hang on. That's a good game for Justin Fields. That's a terrible passing game for most quarterbacks in the NFL. If your quarterback only gets 116 yards through the air, you've had a bad game passing. And if you're the lead rusher with 64 yards on the ground, then you're struggling as well. So, yeah, bad from Justin Fields. And look, I think he could be a fun Taysom Hill kind of guy, but your starting quarterback career has to be over for Justin Fields. Here, especially after that game. And I think the Jets, it's worth just shaking it up and seeing what kind of comes out in the wash from them, because Tyrod Taylor isn't going to be your guy going on next either, but worth maybe giving him a shot and seeing what happens.
Well, at this point, you just keep playing Fields because you're trying to fight for that first overall pick, right? Isn't that what you do? You just figure out how to keep losing. But like I said on Thursday, the Jets can fuck that up too. So we can watch. The Jets can fuck up about anything, even if it's the first overall pick. Yeah,
and I think with the Jets in that game, we'll talk about Mac Jones when we get to the 49ers game. But obviously I don't want Mac Jones to go to the Jets. I think that would be a terrible fit. But with GMs coming out and saying we're not sure how many of these quarterbacks are actually first overall picks, like it sounds like a lot of the quarterbacks in college, like 2 or 3 of them might be going back in next year. Obviously, with the changing landscape of college, you can just go back into college and it be financially viable for you to do so. There's not many that are coming out that are getting loads of first round hype currently. So maybe a bad year for the Jets to have first overall pick, and you think maybe they'll have to kick the tires on a Mac Jones or like a Joe Flacco or, whoever comes out in next year. Like Marcus Mariota's playing okay for the Commanders, like see what happens and kick the tires on that and wait till the next year.
Yeah, and if you're a quarterback, unless it's your only option, why would you pick the Jets?
Yeah, exactly. And if you can go back in, maybe you make sure you it's tough to turn down the NFL. Like it's obviously tough to turn down the NFL, but if you can go back in, you can threaten the Jets with that as well.
And if you're Manning, you almost have to go back because you didn't have the year you thought you were going to have, right? So then,
I think Manning definitely goes back in.
And if you watch the college landscape, I don't see a single guy that you're like, oh, that's the guy, that's the number 1 pick, or that's even I'm not even sold that. And I'm not saying they're not because we didn't dig into it yet, but just by the eye test, I'm not even sold any of them are first round picks, where you and I, at least at this time in the season, are usually like, hey, like a couple years ago, Jaden Daniels, this kid's for fucking real. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like at this time of the year, we're usually starting to see some guys that we're keeping our eye on because, they're making their move in the college and we're going to see them come out in the draft. And with college football this year, I don't see that with quarterbacks.
Yeah, like Fernando Mendoza of Indiana is like the only guy that I look at and go, I had to check that his name was Mendoza there. But he's the only guy that I look at and go, okay, yeah, first round potential. It makes sense for you to come out with Indiana playing really well and stuff like that. It makes sense for you to come out now. Whereas Ty Simpson, Alabama quarterback, hasn't been amazing. Maybe it makes sense for him to go in back in one more year and have a great year with Alabama and stuff coming out. But yeah, I'd not great, I would say.
Well, and now that
Jets in their hunt for a QB.
And when you look at now, I know you said Alabama, and that's one of those teams people think of right away, but you really got to think about the turning over and coaching there too, right? Because it's no longer Saban.
Yeah.
So now you're looking, and now it's like, oh, does Michael Penix hurt the next quarterback to come out of Alabama? Because you're like, well, you had the same coach at Washington, and look at how bad Penix is struggling, and we thought Penix was a better talent. So does that even make it harder to take an Alabama quarterback right now? Because at least Penix was going nuts in college.
Yeah, so for me, I'm really not sure what the Jets do at quarterback. If they pick Mendoza, fine, but I really do think it's in their best interest to kind of
next year.
It's really in their best interest, to go the year after and build a team for a quarterback to actually walk into. Because we've seen it with Cam Ward in Tennessee. Like the 2 teams that are fighting for the first overall pick will be Tennessee and the Jets. And Tennessee won't be drafting another quarterback. And I don't think it's in the Jets will draft another quarterback. I just don't think it's in their best interest to do so, considering
they're set up
the quarterback class and how terrible they are for any quarterback to come in.
That might have been what they were thinking when they did the Quentin Williams trade too. That's why they took the first 2 years from now, because they're like, we don't see any strong candidates in this next year's draft, so let's stockpile for the year after, which isn't the worst idea. You don't have to go get your quarterback. Go shore up every bit of the trenches so that when you do bring a quarterback in the next year, that he's set up to succeed, because that's where the Jets really fail all the time, is they don't have their team set for success before they bring in a young quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen it with Cam Ward this season, where the Titans they decided he was their guy. And look, Cam Ward's getting a lot of hate. I don't think Cam Ward deserves any hate. I think he's performed admirably considering how bad the Titans have been. It's just they were not ready to put a quarterback into that situation at all. I think the only team that I maybe look at and go, should take a first round quarterback is like the Browns, like if you're the Cleveland Browns, go in there, or if you're the Falcons.
That last play with the Dolphins, you do like an option route. There's no way you can sell that because Tua's not running at the goal line with all those concussions. Like, what the fuck? Like, you can't even sell that.
Yeah. See, that's where I envisage Justin Fields' career now. Going and finding quarterbacks who can't run and only going in and doing the option route for them. And it's not a run pass option. It's a I run, you run option, not a run pass option as well. But yeah, Jay, the other part of this game is Stefon Diggs has put up some more solid numbers in that game. He went for 116 yards in that one, and he's looked pretty decent for the whole. Oh, wow. He's looked pretty decent throughout the whole season, actually, Stefon Diggs. Is he a legit number one wide receiver? But before going into that, the Dolphins are stopped on the 1 yard line. It's now 4th down. And Mike McDaniels, this is where the genius needs to come in. This is where we need to see that offensive genius to open things up. And I'm just going to run it between the tackles, run it between the tackles, run it between the tackles. So, and they lost a yard on that one as well. But Jay, is Stefon Diggs a legit number one wide receiver?
Yeah, like Stefon Diggs was an elite wide receiver. He's still a really, really good wide receiver. Like, he may have lost like a half a step, but his game was never predicated on that. He's had speed, but he's never been predicated on that breakout speed. Stefon Diggs is a guy who can run a crisp route, who can get separation. So I think those guys last longer than the guys, just on straight speed, or guys like, and I'm not say, so take Hopkins. Hopkins loses a half a step, even though he's a big-bodied receiver who catches everything. He can't get any kind of separation anymore. I don't think that'll ever happen with Stefon Diggs. I think he'll always be able to get separation. And just even as his talent isn't as good as it was 2-3 years ago, he still hasn't fallen off like we've seen some players fall off.
Yeah, and he doesn't become like DeAndre Hopkins became like that fade route guy. Like, that's literally what he did. Like, he becomes like just a fade route, and then that's his entire offensive output. Whereas once you get a quarterback like Drake May, if you have a guy like Stefon Diggs who can just get open, Drake May will find him, and it's looking good. And it turned out to be a good move from the Patriots. Stefon Diggs seems to be, realizing that it's at this point in his career where he can't be that diva guy. He's not really got the talent to be the diva guy as much anymore. And it's looking good. And I don't think Vrabel will be putting up with any of that shit either, especially.
And when you're on your fourth team, you got to start questioning if it's you. Like, if you're a journeyman player, it's one thing, right? Because you have just enough talent to make rosters. So I'm not mad at you for the moving around. When you're an elite player and you've moved around to 4 different teams, there's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's looking good, and I think he's a great addition. And with New England, you now look at them and go, if they get one more weapon, then that offense is looking ridiculous. Maybe like a couple more, maybe a bit more solid play on the offensive line, maybe, because Drake may take a lot of hits, but
they have a legitimate Super Bowl chance this year. And I hear people going, they're good, but they don't. Like, really? Really, who do you see in the AFC that they can't beat? I'm not saying that they're guaranteed to beat, but I can see them beating the Bills. I can see them beating the Chiefs in the right game. I mean, if them and the Chiefs play 10 times, sure, the Chiefs probably win 7. But what if that's one of the 3 games? You know what I mean? They're good enough to upset one of these teams, which means they're good enough to go on a run in the playoffs, and their record has them in a spot where they honestly could end up with the overall seed in a bye. So, like, I think people should stop sleeping on the Patriots. I'm not saying that they're a Super Bowl favorite, but they're definitely a Super Bowl dark horse, and anybody who thinks they don't have a shot, I think, is crazy.
Yeah, and with Trayvon Henderson, they've now given that offensive game balance as well. They can run the ball, they can throw the ball, and they have a historically good run defense as well. So not only can they run the ball and control the game now, which they haven't really been able to do all season. They have the ability to have really explosive plays. Drake May throws one of the best deep balls I've ever seen in the NFL. And then, but then they can also stop you from running the ball. So they can really control games, which is what you need to do. Jay, before we move on to our early window Sunday preview, Tua missed an NFL Open, Jalen Waddle making that play a bit harder than it needed to be in the end zone on 4th and 1. But do you think Jalen Waddle really needs to start making those catches to be a number one wide receiver?
Yes, but I'm not sure that Waddle is a number one. I think he's one of those guys who's better than a number 2, but not good enough to be a number 1. He's like what the Packers have a whole roster of.
Yeah, I agree. I think he is a number 2. I think the Dolphins really need to go find a number 1 because you need to make those catches to help your quarterback when you're on a bad team, like in the red zone. It was there. It was there to be caught. It was in the place where Tua could throw it. He could have probably made it a bit easier for him because he kind of bullets it at the ground. But it was there to be caught, and he should be coming up with it. This
you know the old rule, right? If it touches your hands, you better catch it. That's kind of the rule. You know, like if it touches your hands, it's on the receiver. And now that's not a 100% hard and fast rule, but it gives a good idea. And see, that also shows Miami. Like you literally could have had a safety there, but your defensive players don't know how to stay in their gap.
Yeah, and I mean they got rid of. Are they calling that? They can't be calling that a pass interference.
I think he's trying to say it was grounding. I don't know. I don't have the volume on.
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah, that's grounding, isn't it? Intentional grounding. No, what have they called that?
Nothing. They're saying uncatchable, right?
No, it seems. What does this mean? What's this signal?
Over the head. So they're probably saying it's not pass interference because the ball was uncatchable. Okay. I don't know.
And they've gone to third down. Yeah, they've gone to third down. And even if there was pass interference, that's not that. Even if it was catchable, that's not pass interference. He was going out of play. But yeah,
he wrapped his arms around him. He wrapped his arms around him.
Yeah, I think the ball was there though. I think the ball was there. I think it was just so far over the head. Oh my God, you've got to make your tackles there on 3rd and 9 on a dump off. That is so bad. That's why the Dolphins suck. We've just seen why the Dolphins suck there, everybody. Okay, moving on to our Sunday preview where we go through every single game up against the spread. This is our early window preview before we hit the break. And we're starting off, Jay, with the New York Giants versus the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are 7-point favorites. I really thought that this game would not throw up loads of talking points. Like when I'm going through the show notes and making out the questions, I'm like, I might struggle to come up with 3 questions. And it turned out this one ended up having some of the most talking points that we've got. But Jay, Bill Belichick has said he isn't interested in coaching in the NFL. He's going to be staying in college. Who will be the next coach of the New York Giants, in your opinion? What will they be looking for?
All I heard was my team is testing the waters. Nobody's interested, so I am going to stay in college. I think that's what I heard from Bill Belichick. But because if the Giants really wanted him, he would go in a heartbeat. He won his first 2 Super Bowls as their defensive coordinator. He's going there, right? I think that's more of they don't want me, but they're never going to make me look bad because I'm a historic figure in New York, and so I'm just going to play it off. I don't know. You got to go get an offensive-minded head coach. I know that defense needs help, but you got to tie somebody to Jackson Dart. And here's what you got to figure out. Does that guy say he wants Jackson Dart because he wants the job, or does he truly believe in Jackson Dart? Because there was times where I think Mike McDaniel said that he wanted Tua just to get the job, right? Like, and you can't be mad at the guys because Tua was part of the package. So if you want that job, then you got to go with Tua. So I think that you got to find the guy who really believes in Jackson Dart.
Yeah, that is a terrible play from Mariota. That was nearly a safety. He just got out. That's terrible from Mariota. Dropping back that far. he got lucky to get out there. He's done well. What a great play from Chop Robinson there. Third and 15. But yeah, Jay, with the New York Giants, I think with that head coaching position, I agree with you. I think it's got to be an offensive.
He threw that. I didn't even realize he threw that.
Oh, he threw it. Oh, I didn't see that.
He winged that fucker out of bounds while he was being spun around.
Well, that's got to be intentional grounding.
No, there was a receiver over there.
There's a receiver there, right? Okay. But yeah, I think for the New York Giants coaching job, I agree with you that has to be an offensive coordinator because you've got Jackson Dart. It has to be a coordinator.
You're not going to like it, but I have a name.
Go on then.
Cliff Kingsbury. Let's give him a second shot with Jackson Dart. Because Jackson Dart has a lot of the same athletic traits. That's all I mean, not football traits, athletic traits as Jaden Daniels. Or the type of quarterbacks that he coached in college, the athletic quarterback who can move around, get out of the pocket. And I think Cliff Kingsbury has proved that he can run an offense in the NFL. And I think he was just over his head coming in from Texas Tech into the NFL, right? And then he got straddled with Kyler Murray, which everybody thought was a good idea, but now we're all questioning, well, is that a problem? Is Kyler Murray the problem in Arizona? Arizona, we have seen, is just dysfunctional. If Cliff Kingsbury is interested in a head coaching job, I think people should listen. The one name I keep hearing in New York, which I think would be perfect for them, would make me cry, and I don't think they'd do it if they weren't going to go on the offensive side of the ball, would be Flores, but I can't see New York being the one who hires a guy who's suing the NFL because that's just not the Maris style.
I don't think it's the Giants way. Like I could see the Jets maybe doing it, but I don't think the Giants.
I always wonder would have Flores even have taken that Jets job? Because he wants to be a head coach, but he's also a guy that knows that if this next time don't work, it's over for him as a head coach.
Yeah. I wonder if you could go the defensive route because I feel like there's a lot. See, this is the problem with what the Giants have done. We were calling for them to get rid of Daboll last year because he's not going to be taking that, right? Like we know that with Daboll, we've seen it, right? So they've missed out on a great coaching circuit with Ben Johnson in it, with Aaron Glenn, if they wanted Aaron Glenn in it, but with Kellen Moore in it. Kellen Moore looks like he's doing a great job at the Saints. Like you missed out on those guys. You've missed out on those people who've been touted for jobs for ages because you stuck with Brian Daboll. And now you're kind of stuck. And the names that spring to mind in terms of coordinators for me is, does Shane Steichen now have a tree? Like, do you now go to the guy who Shane Steichen's working with? Because in Philly, he created a really successful offense with a similar type of quarterback to Jackson Dart. In Indy, he creates a really successful offense with a similar type of quarterback. Like Daniel Jones is miles away from Jackson Dart. Like Jackson Dart's arm talent is much better, but Daniel Jones is miles away in style of play either. So do you go for the offensive coordinator for the Colts, who is, I did have to look this up, but it's Jim Bob Cooter? Like, do you look
Jim Bob got the greatest name in all of the NFL. Jim Bob got the greatest name. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, Jim Bob Cooter. Do you go for Jim Bob Cooter when you go there, or do you look for the guy works with Josh Allen now? If you want to turn Jackson Dart into Josh Allen style and go Joe Brady, Joe Brady's been in and around some successful teams. Like maybe Joe Brady gets a job as a head coach. I don't hate Cliff Kingsbury. I just think Cliff Kingsbury seems to make loads of sense as an offensive coordinator rather than a head coach. Like his problems all seem to be from the head coaching side of things in Arizona, not from things like the play call.
That's what they said about Pete Carroll in New England, and then he went to 2 Super Bowls. I mean, I can go over guys their second time around. Another guy who needs who teams are talking about in the coaching circle, but fans aren't talking about yet, but they will in the offseason. Josh McCown's name has came up a lot, and he turned down coordinator jobs because he says, I'm staying as Minnesota's quarterback coach until I get a head coaching opportunity.
All right. And I mean, if that head coaching opportunity is there, you would imagine you take it. Guys, make sure to get in the comments with who you think the Giants' next head coach is going to be. But let's move on to the game in hand today. Jameis Winston will be starting for the New York Giants thanks to thanks to Jackson Dart being out with concussion. Is this one of those games where it's good to have the kind of YOLO quarterback, nothing to lose, 7-point dog, rather than putting in Russell Wilson, who you know is going to like manage the offense and stuff, but get the YOLO guy in, and that's why they've gone Jameis Winston?
I think either way, you're fucked. This is the type of game that the Packers will feast on because the Packers are a good team. They're not a great team. So when a good team gets a chance to beat up a hurt team, that usually happens. And then it keeps driving the narrative. They'll probably beat up New York really good today. And then we're going to hear the narrative again come tomorrow at the water cooler is Packers are contenders.
Yeah. We'll definitely hear that. We'll definitely hear that Packers are contenders thing as we're going. I worry for the Packers in this game, and when you have a guy like Jameis Winston back there, anything can happen. Like Jameis Winston can throw 5 touchdowns in a game, or he can throw 5 pick sixes. You know, like we don't know what's going to happen, which is why he's not a starting quarterback. If they had Malik Neighbors out there, I would be quite excited to watch what's going on. But unfortunately, they've got injuries all over the field. Darius Slayton's looked pretty decent since coming into the team as well. But Jay, on the other side of the ball here, is the Giants' defensive line good enough to make life really difficult for Jordan Love? Like we've seen, I think the Giants' defensive line gets a lot of, it is quite underrated. Could it be quite difficult for Jordan Love this game for it to be a 7-point favorite?
See, to me, I think the Giants' defensive line is probably rated where it should be on play, but it's the names that everybody expects more from. And I don't think they've lived up to anything that we've expected from the Giants when it comes to the names across the board. I don't think we get much pressure. I think they give up too much on the run. And I think you look across that line, and I think it's part of the reason that Daboll got fired too. It's like we invested so much into this defense, and we can't stop shit.
That's such a shit throw from Tua. Tua has a guy underneath and decides to go into double coverage. It's just stupid. But yeah, Jay, I think with the Giants' defensive line, like some of the games where you watch them, if they're going up against the offensive line, they're really good enough to get to the quarterback if they're going up against an offensive line that isn't hitting full straps. And I actually think that the Packers have not been great against bad teams in the NFL this year. Like if you're a bad team who has some offensive production and some defensive production, like if you kind of a middle of the road team, the Packers have struggled against those. So Jay, in this game, I'm taking the Giants at +7. In this one, I think the Giants will keep it within a touchdown. I think the Packers will run out with the win eventually. Jay, who have you got in this one?
Give me the Packers.
Yeah, I think it's probably the more sensible bet, but I just have a
now
feeling about the Giants
coming out of the blue tent.
Yeah, he's out of the blue tent, but he's ready to go. He looks like he's ready to go. Jay, the Tennessee Titans are going up against the Houston Texans. The Texans are 5.5-point favorites. I don't think we need to spend loads of time on this game. Do you trust Davis Mills to take care of business with nearly a touchdown win here?
No, and if they weren't playing Tennessee, I'd probably be more nervous for them. I don't trust him to, but that doesn't mean he won't. And I still am going to take the Texans -5.5, but the Texans are another one of those teams where I'm not sure which team is coming in any given Sunday, and their offensive line is still bad. And can Davis Mills maneuver around that? Because I actually think the more I went back and watched some of the Texans games is we kind of got to give C.J. Stroud a little more credit than we're giving for even keeping this team afloat with that bad of an offensive line.
Yeah, like the offensive line play has improved over the past couple of weeks, but starting out they were terrible.
And it's schemed. It's still not even the offensive line players. They're just scheming them into not getting murdered. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. That's where the Texans need to invest all of their capital, like all of their draft capital, all of their cap money is offensive line going into the season. But Jay, the Tennessee Titans have no one that can really take advantage of this. I think all Davis Mills has to do is keep care of the ball, take care of the ball. And I think that Davis Mills is good enough to just take care of the ball.
The word was trust.
Because
that's my problem. Is the word was trust.
Yeah. This is a no bet. Sorry, this is a no bet game for me. Like 5.5 point. It's come down from 6. On Thursday it was 6. It's now 5.5. This is a no bet game for me. I don't want any part of Davis Mills riding on my money here. But the other side of this game, Jay, is the Tennessee Titans offense is going up against the Houston Texans defense. The Houston Texans defense has been unbelievable. Jay, the over-under on this game is 37.5. 37.5, the over-under on this game. Do you think the Titans will be able to score anywhere near enough points to threaten the over-under of 37.5?
No, I was already thinking I would take the under as soon as you said that.
Yeah, 37.5. I'm slabbing the under. I can see the Texans donutting the Titans in this game.
This is going to be like 17-9 or something stupid.
Yeah, 17-9 cover. Jay, I'm taking the Texans at 5.5 in this one. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm taking the Texans. I think they get at least a touchdown on defense. It's not, and I think that they don't have to worry about Davis Mills carrying them, just not doing something stupid.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that one. Jay, the Atlanta Falcons are 3.5 point favorites going up against the Carolina Panthers. These are two of the most difficult teams to see what they're going to be doing in the game. Jay, is this a must-win for the Falcons front office, coaching staff, and Michael Penix, or will ownership be looking to move on next year if they lose this game?
I, again, don't think they should have hired Raheem Morris. I think that their front office was a problem. I do wish, just so we could see what have happened, if they would have gave Bill Belichick that whole team with the coaching and the GM. I don't know it would have been any better, but it would have been more entertaining, definitely. I'm not sure that Michael Penix would be their quarterback either if that would have been Bill Belichick, but I think it's time to move on because you have way too much talent and your problems come down to coaching scheme. You tried to take a zone blocking team and turn them into a fucking man blocking team, which fucked you last year and the parts of this year. And then you totally botched the quarterback situation on all fronts. And you have a team that everybody in the media was like, this team's got so much talent. Let's see what they do. And they have just been awful.
Yeah, and I think if you just look in every single position, you have a player that almost every other team in the NFL would want. Like, the offensive line isn't bad. The offensive line, player for player, is not terrible. Some of those guys from last season, 2 seasons ago, have gone to other teams and looked okay. Like when they've played in them, as you say, I think it's the scheme problems. You've got Bijan Robinson at running back, who's one of the top 5 running backs in the league. Drake London, a wide receiver, is looking good and just looking better throughout. Kyle Pitts, when he actually gets the ball, looks great. Like when he actually gets targets, Kyle Pitts looks really good. Like imagine giving him to someone interesting as well. And then they've also managed to create one of the best passing defenses in the NFL. They have the lowest amount of yards against passing on them in the NFL in this game. So I don't think the front office should be worried. I think the front office have put together a great team. I think they made a weird mistake with the Michael Penix drafted first and the paying Kirk Cousins. But, you go for a quarterback. Like quarterback is a position where you can go for it. And it shouldn't be the whole reason why you fire a front office. But they need a new coaching staff. And Jay, Zach Robinson is their offensive coordinator, and he comes from the Sean McVay tree. Are you surprised with how much they're struggling to just get the ball in BJ Robinson's hands? Because it's not even a problem with BJ Robinson not making the yardage. It's actually an amount of touches for BJ Robinson. That's the biggest problem. Bijan Robinson.
No, because their offense has just been horribly. It's horrible. And the fact is like you said, they have weapons and they can't be explosive. And how are you not explosive when you have Bijan Robinson? They played like 2 games this year where you're like, why don't you play every game that way? That whole offense should be centered around Bijan Robinson and either getting him the ball or using him to get other people open.
Yeah, and I mean, today is a great example of that, because if you can keep the Panthers off the field, if you can make the Panthers not able to run the ball, then you can really like keep them behind. And the other thing is with that, Jay, is the Falcons have created this amazing passing offense or defense all of a sudden. Like, their pass defense is actually very solid. So if you can run the ball, win the time of possession stats, that is really helpful to your team, because it means the other team can't just run the ball. They have to pass on you. So I'm just amazed that they don't get more rushing out of Bijan Robinson. Jay, on the other side, Bryce Young, this is a big season for him. It's a season that he kind of has to win the job for Carolina. Like, maybe he gets one more next year. But what do you expect out of Bryce Young here against one of the best passing teams in the league?
Well, that's the problem too, is like, I think Atlanta's more talented than Carolina. Carolina shows signs of life at times with certain games and certain teams, but even when they win, it's never coming off a huge, strong performance from Bryce Young, it seems like. I mean, look at the Packer game. What did he have, 100 yards in a win or something like that? It was fucking crazy that they even got the win. So I still think Atlanta wins this game, but that is more of an indictment on what's going on in Carolina than it is Atlanta being good. And it's not that Carolina isn't fun to watch, because they are, and they've done some good things, but they're still so far away from being a really good team.
Yeah, and I think we've seen Rico Dowdle take a bit of a step back after those, which are very normal after having 2 back-to-back 200-yard games, right? But he's taken a bit of a step back, and then you see the struggles with the Panthers offensively here. Jay, I just think the Falcons are more talented and all over the ball, and sometimes there you go, touchdown Miami, and Ollie Gordon from the 1-yard line. Fantasy owners have got to be so annoyed if you're a Devon Achane fantasy owner, because Ollie Gordon gets all of the red zone, all of those 1-yard touchdown carries. It was like Jamal Williams for the Detroit Lions a while ago in fantasy, where like David Montgomery would have all the carries, and then Jamal Williams would pop up with he'd have something like 5 carries for 10 yards and 3 touchdowns or something, and just be a crazy unicorn for fantasy owners. But Jay, I'm taking the Falcons in this one. I think they're more talented, and I think talent eventually has to count for something. So Falcons at 3.5. Are you taking the Falcons as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Jay, your Minnesota Vikings are 3-point favorites against the Chicago Bears at home. Jay, Caleb Williams holds onto the ball a little bit too long, sometimes struggles with pressure. How will Caleb Williams deal with the Minnesota Vikings pressure this week?
Yeah, it depends if they get the pressure. If they get the pressure, they can make life really difficult on Caleb. Ben Johnson has always been really good at making sure Jared Goff got the ball out of his hands quickly against Brian Flores, so they can do that with Caleb. If Caleb starts getting to off play and off, script throws, then maybe it becomes easier. There's times where Caleb looks just awful at when the play breaks down. There's other times where you're like, holy fuck, what did he just do? So I guess it's which Caleb. He's still young, right? So he's not always going to be the guy who's going to steady the ship, but he has shown that he can at times. And I'm going to be completely honest, Maddie, I'm at a fuck you with this whole season right now because I'm in my feelings. So whatever you pick, I'm taking too.
Fair enough. Yeah, Jay, with Caleb Williams, he had a really, so far in the season, he's kind of struggled on holding on to the ball a bit too long, getting to the first read when Ben Johnson wants him to get to the first read. But in the last game, they played, he actually had some really active plays as to getting away from the pressure and releasing the ball. And he seems to be, every week, Ben Johnson seems to be picking up with Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams seems to be picking up every week offensively. Now, the Bears are still the Bears, and they have a habit of like still giving games away, even though Caleb Williams is throwing for the most yards of any Bears quarterback in history and stuff like that as well. And Jay, the Bears actually have not a great passing defense. Is this one of the games where JJ McCarthy can kind of lay his claim to this role with one of the worst pass defenses in the league? Just a couple of stats here. The Bears have the worst yards per attempt, the third worst yards per attempt offense in the league at 8.2 yards per attempt, and the fourth worst completion percentage defense, allowing 69.7% completion. Are we looking for JJ to take over in this one?
Well, the one thing that does benefit JJ in this game is that the Bears don't do a whole lot of exotic shit. They're pretty much, this is what we do. We're going to do it really well. And you're going to, even though we're going to try to line up and beat you. The one thing that does make me nervous for the Vikings, though, is Jonathan Gennard's out. But in the scheme of things, this is where Dallas Turner fits better athletically than in the Van Ginkel role. So hopefully he can fill in better for Gennard than he did for Van Ginkel, because this is more of the role he's suited for coming out of college, hand in the dirt, the end. So we'll see what happens. Gennard makes me a little nervous. But like I said, the Bears just come out and they're like, we do what we do on defense, and you got to try to beat us, which if you're a young quarterback, yes, they have some good defense, but it makes it easier that you don't see a ton of exotic shit.
Yeah, I agree. And I really do think this has the potential to be a pretty big shootout game here. Jay, for me, this game is a pick'em. Both teams are pretty even, have very similar problems, have very similar strengths. It's a pick'em. If I'm getting 3 points for the Chicago Bears, I'm picking the Chicago Bears with the 3. Jay, you joining me in that one? The Bears are +3, or have you talked yourself into the Vikings?
I'm not making a pick, so I'm going with whatever you do. I refuse to make a pick. I fucking refuse.
Okay, Bears. It is. Jay, moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are 3-point favorites. Can we trust either of these teams to know what's going to come out of either of them at any point in this season?
No, it's a quarterback. It's a game of my overrated quarterback right now. That's what it's a game of. The only thing is I honestly trust Trevor Lawrence more than I trust Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think this is a game of my quarterback based on looks, right? My quarterback looks like a quarterback, so we can't say anything bad about him. I think both quarterbacks have shown enough to be like key starters in the NFL. It's just some people will put Justin Herbert as like 5th or like 5th, the top 7 quarterback in the NFL, and I'll think
they were saying he was the next. They were saying he was the next Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, all this shit. Even though we can get into how, if you really go over Andrew Luck's career, Tim Hasselbeck was better, Matt Hasselbeck was better than. But it doesn't matter. Like, at least Matt Hasselbeck made a fucking Super Bowl. But anyway, neither here nor there. I have a real problem with the pedestal Andrew Luck gets put on, because it was all based on talent and none of it was based on his actual things that he did in the NFL, right? Like, not that he wasn't one of the most talented we've seen, but what did he accomplish? And he still gets all of this praise. And this is what we see this from Justin Herbert for years and years and years. And he just everybody kept saying, and me, I was just as guilty. Oh, it's a horrible organization. It's a horrible organization. Well, at what point do you go, okay, Justin Herbert isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing from the draft. He's gotten paid a ton. Same thing can go with Lawrence, but I'm talking about Herbert right now. He's got paid a ton, and we're just compounding problems at this point. I don't know when I'm going to hear anybody in the media besides like us on the internet talking about what's going on with Justin Herbert, because none of the talking heads ever want to bring up the fact that he has literally been a disappointment from where he was projected to be in the NFL. And there you go. That's a huge play.
Yeah, Marcus Mariota just bust. What was that, like a 40-yard run?
Yeah, it was big. I don't know.
40. Yeah, no, it's around. No, maybe
Yeah, well, he
like
started at the 40. They're replaying it on my TV. So
yeah, the 20. Yeah,
10,
he goes out that
20. Oh, they
20.
cut it on me. It's at least 30.
Yeah, it's like 30, 35, 40 yards.
Oh, yeah, he hit about 40. Yep.
Yeah, Marcus Mariota. And again, that is the Miami Dolphins problem right there. And I'm watching this game, I'm starting to go, do you know what? Maybe we've been a bit harsh on Mike McDaniel because there's nothing you can do about your defense just not staying in a lane and not making tackles. Like, I don't think that Mike McDaniels is the right coach. Like, for Miami, I think now he's lost too much of the dressing room and stuff. But they can't, like, on offense, the Commanders cannot stop them. But the defense can't stay in its lane, and the Commanders' defense is actually playing. The Dolphins' defense is actually playing okay until 3rd down and 9. Like, they're actually playing okay, and then they'll give up huge 3rd downs. So it's 2-3 big 3rd down plays that they've given up just by not staying in their lane and not making the tackle.
Well, that's coaching, though.
Yeah, but it's not Mike McDaniel coaching, though, is it? It's
He's the head coach.
Coordinator coaching. I suppose it is all over when you're the head coach. But I don't think he's the right guy for the job. But I do feel like maybe he's not as bad as what we're going for. I think
I don't
Miami
think he's
organization is fucked.
I don't think he's the right guy for any head coaching job. And when your head coach sounds like a big dumb dipshit every time he gives an interview, it gets to start dragging on your locker room when you're not winning.
Yeah, I would love to see him get another offensive coordinator job because I think his offenses are fun. But yeah, Jay, with Justin Herbert, I agree with you. I think it's, what have you done to show me how good you are? Like, I think that Justin Herbert is good, and I think he is like a top 15
talent-wise, yeah.
But it's that, but it's that pedestal that you get put on, and then for most of his career, the Chargers have been a terrible organization that haven't had an offensive line, and they've only just started to get an offensive line now.
At what point do people go, maybe they weren't as bad as we thought, and their quarterback's just not as good?
Yeah, but like the Staley, the Braden Staley days and stuff like that, you think, okay, like, fair enough.
I'm watching Jim Harbaugh not do a whole bunch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they did just. I mean, they're 7-3, aren't they? Like the Chargers.
Yeah, and none of it's Justin Herbert. None of it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's
literally Mac Jones could be doing this in their offense, or like, I can insert name here, I feel like. And so it's Harbaugh's running game, yes, but he hasn't done anything to fix the quarterback, and he's supposed to be also known as kind of a quarterback whisperer, being that he was a quarterback, and then he gets all the credit for what he did with Kaepernick, and you know what I mean? And he went to NFC Championship game with Alex Smith, and I don't know. Like, it's at what point? I just feel like we keep judging Herbert on talent, and I'm like, and he keeps getting every pass in the world. So is it that maybe the reason Staley failed as bad as he did is because the quarterback that was supposed to help him didn't do anything to help him?
Yeah, I think that defense was just like, Staley was meant to come in and be this defensive guru, and the defense was. It's Justin Herbert is a good quarterback in the NFL, but he hasn't shown us enough to get as many passes as he gets. It's like,
I feel like you're doing the same thing they all do, and you just give him excuses.
No, it's like, I gave him a small excuse and said, this is why he's not done this, but he still should be blamed for X. It's like CJ Stroud, the Houston Texans offensive line is terrible, but you need to get rid of the ball faster. Or Joe Burrow's the same, like with the Bengals offense. It's like, I know that this is good, but you deserve some of the blame with Justin Herbert as well, right? And I think the same, and I think the same with Trevor Lawrence. But I think now people have started to switch over with Trevor Lawrence, and now they give Trevor Lawrence too much hate because they expect him to be so much better. And they don't do the same with Justin Herbert, right? Like at least with Josh Allen, we always talk about gets loads of passes as well. But at least we've seen stuff from Josh Allen where it's like, okay, like, you're obviously just unreal as well. But I feel like Trevor Lawrence is now getting too much hate, and Justin Herbert is continuing to get the passes for the same stuff. Jay, can the Jaguars actually get pressure on the Chargers' injured offensive line? Like, that seems to be the key to beating the Chargers this year in the 3 games that they've lost.
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot of blitzes by the Jags to get them off their spot, but you'll see a lot of those gap run blitzes because then it helps eat up the run right away while getting to the quarterback. I always think that's the best way to go after the running back, but hit the quarterback on the way type shit. So I think they'll do well. My whole thing is I don't know how well the running game for the Chargers can hold up with a beat up offensive line. And also, I think Travis Etienne takes this game over.
Yeah, I think with the offensive line, though, I look to last week's game and go, they held, like, the Steelers' defensive line got nowhere near him. Like, the Steelers,
right,
like,
but besides 2 games this year, sorry, go ahead.
Like, we look like with Joe Alt out, we thought that we were worried that the Chargers were going to look like when Joe Alt was out the last time, where they just couldn't stop anyone. So then we thought the Steelers, but then as you rightly say, is the Steelers' offensive line still the Steelers' offensive line that we all expect it to be? And it's like, they just come off a great game, the Steelers, and then they don't get any pressure the next week. So the Steelers are another up and down team that we can't judge on. So it'll be interesting to watch in this game. But the Jags get no pressure on anyone, no matter the offensive line quality.
It feels like the only time the Steelers have a good defensive line game is when TJ Watt gets off. So if you can figure out a way to neutralize TJ Watt, what else do they do?
Yeah, and with the Jags, Davis Mills just threw all over them with the Texans' offensive line. So I think the Chargers' injured offensive line is better than the Texans' offensive line currently. So, yeah, for me, Jay, the Chargers were actually one of my best bets of the week in this game. I don't trust the Texans. I don't trust the Jags at all. And the Chargers are 7-3. Like, they're clearly doing something. They're clearly doing something right. So I'm taking the Chargers.
I love how when it's a team you don't like, you nitpick their wins, and when it's a team you like, you're like, they're 7-3. 7-3.
But yeah, I think that's also a fair thing on my biases. Right.
I think we all do it, but you do it with the Chargers, so I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah, I feel like I only ever do it with the Chargers. I'm pretty hot on calling out Phillies wherever. I wonder if that's got something to do with
you have this amazing way of Philly, like circling back around to your Justin Fields love, but that's weird.
Jay, who you got in this one?
I'm staying in my toxic relationship with the Jaguars.
All right, I love it. You've got so many toxic relationships going on in this podcast. Jay, the Bills are going up against the Buccaneers, and I'm looking at this game and I'm thinking more and more that I wish I took it as a best bet because the money seems to be going towards the Bills. They're now a 6-point favorite. Jay, can we trust the Bills to cover 6 points against an elite NFL team, even if that team is banged up? And the Dolphins get a stop on 4th down.
Well, yeah, because the Bills are one of those teams that play down to their competition or play up to their competition. So when they're playing great teams, they come out and play great. When they're playing shitty teams, they come out and play shitty, and we're wondering what's going on. I think this is one of those games where I wouldn't be shocked if either one of these teams ended up with the win, though. So with being at 6-point spread, I'm still going to go. I'm going to take the Buccaneers, and I'm going to take the Buccaneers in the point.
Yeah, I'm amazed that it's a 6-point spread in this one. I feel like that's a huge spread considering what we've seen from Buffalo so far this season. Tampa Bay have lots of injuries. They have Mike Evans is out, Bucky Irving's out, Chris Godwin seems to be out in this game. But the Bills can't stop anyone on the ground. They have the worst. They give up the most yards in the NFL, I think, like in run game. Defense.
Man, did I trade Bucky Irvin at the perfect fucking time? He made it one game after I traded him, and then that was the game he got injured.
he went down. I mean, he'll come back into a team where they will use him a lot with injured wide receivers for the playoffs. But yeah, I think he did trade him at the right time. They've got the fifth worst run. The Bills have got the fifth worst run defense in terms of rush yards allowed. Yards for completion, they're the second worst in the NFL. And run game touchdowns, they're the joint second worst in the NFL as well. And they just get a pass on this. You cannot be a 6-point favorite in a game. You can't be a 6-point favorite in a game if you can't defend the run. And the Bills cannot defend the run. And it's like the Bucs are like, they've got Bucky Irvin out. It's okay. Rachaad White looked good. Sean Tucker looked great in last week's game as well. Sean Tucker looked really, really good last week for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I'm amazed that the Bills are favorite here. No surprise, I'm taking the Bucs at +6 in this one. So both of us are on the Bucs for that one. Jay, my other thought of this, though, is how much of an advantage is it for the Bills that the game is actually in Buffalo? Tampa Bay coming in from Florida have to go up to Buffalo where the temperatures are going to be between 4 and -1 degrees Celsius. There also seems to be a pretty decent chance of rain or snow, depending on how cold it is, obviously, for the snow.
I don't think it'll be that big of a problem because Baker's used to playing in Cleveland and different places. Baker's a gamer. And most of that Tampa team is veterans. I don't think that'll hurt them as much, but it always does help when you play at home. Like, let's be real. You get to, keep your routine. You get to be close to home. You don't have all that travel. But I think when you have a veteran team, it really affects you less.
Yeah, I think it does affect you less when you have a veteran team. And as you say, Baker's used to playing in the cold. And also, when the difficult conditions, what do you want to do? You want to be able to run the ball. The Bucs can run the ball. The Bills can't defend the run. And actually, the Bucs have the 5th best run defense in the league as well. So we'll see if the Bills get the ball to James Cook, which they should be doing way more often anyway.
As crazy as it sounds, the reason that Tampa's run defense is so good is because their safeties are so amazing, which is the exact opposite of Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. The Bills safeties are the reason they can't defend the run, which sounds obviously ridiculous. But it's because the Bills are actually decent at defending the run down to down. They just give up these explosive plays because as soon as you get to the second level, the safeties just aren't there. And it's the opposite for the Bucs. I'm amazed at that 6 points. Jay, final game of the early window before we go to the break. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 5.5-point favorites against the Cincinnati Bengals. Jay, can the Steelers defense step up this week? They sometimes look good, but they gave up 33 points to the Bengals last week, and they couldn't get any pressure against Herbert last week. Bengals last time they played, sorry.
Yeah, this is always so weird because Cincinnati's so beat the fuck up, and it's only a 5-point spread, 5.5. But it seems about right? Like, but in normal life, you would think Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, fucking they just signed Asante Samuel Jr. I don't think he'll play this week, but they're doing everything they can to make this run with this veteran team they have. But you're playing Flacco, and you're still less than a touchdown favorite.
Yeah, I'm amazed. I'm amazed at how close this is, but I'm amazed, more importantly, at how good the Bengals offense has actually looked since Flacco's come in. The Bengals offense has really been able to move the ball since Flacco came in. It looks good. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and it's just the idea that Jake Browning just didn't seem to get. Jake Browning just didn't seem to get the idea that it's just throw the ball up to your best players because those players will come down with it, and they're excellent wide receivers. They have they have a number 1 and a number kind of 1.5 with T. Higgins. And Jay, the Steelers defense is so weird. Like, can they get to Joe Flacco enough to make it a problem? Can they get the marking done in the secondary as well here? Jay, the other part of this is we've just kind of spoken about with Joe Flacco in there. are the Bengals actually much better? One of the most dangerous teams when they've just got nothing to lose, because the Bengals have nothing to lose right now with Joe Burrow back there. They're probably out of the playoff race. Joe Burrow is not coming back until looks like until like a week or two's time. Joe Flacco's still in there. What have we? Are they one of the most dangerous teams? And the Commanders showing why they're a terrible team as well. The Commanders have just muffed the punt.
I think that with the bad offensive line and Joe Flacco, and that you would think that they should be bigger underdogs in this game. Joe Flacco figures out a way to do some amazing shit just because he's seen every defense you could ever throw at him in the NFL. He's never going to get shook, and he's just going to go through his progressions and hit the open guy, and they do have talented wide receiver core. With that said, though, I really feel like the Steelers should figure out a way to get pressure. I'm sure they're pissed off about the way the last game went, and they're going to want to show something. I feel like the deeper we get into the season, the more holes we see in the Bengals defense, too. So, in theory, I feel like the Pittsburgh should go in there and win this game by more than 5.5. But again, it's a divisional game. You never know what'll happen. But I'm going to stick with my toxic relationship with the Steelers in this one too.
Okay, Jay, I'm going for the Bengals in this one. I think the Steelers will probably come out with the win, but it'll be a field goal win because I think this could just go up and down. And I'm not sure where the Steelers actually produced the offense here because they had this quick pass getting out, like the quick pass getting out. But for me, it has to go through Jaylen Warren, and they're just going to be running the ball the entire time. But I just don't see the Steelers stopping the Bengals offense too often either. So give me the Bengals in that one, which feels weird to say coming out. But guys, that was the early in window. Come back to us after the break where we will go through the late window games, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and give you our fantasy must picks. But first, here's how you can buy us a coffee.
Me and Jay set up the Yankee and the Brit nearly 5 years ago. And in that time, we've gone up to about 7 shows a week. And with the help of our loyal community, we've been able to keep growing. But we want to grow even more. And that's why just giving $5 or £5 could really help us out in our Buy Me a Coffee fund. And all you have to do is hit the Buy Me a Coffee link in our YouTube descriptions that'll be on every single video. You can give £5, $5, you can give it once, you can give it every month. And what that does is it allows us to grow and even buy ourselves a coffee every once in a while.
All right, guys. So yeah, you can buy us a coffee through the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on the video. But yeah, Jay, let's head in to the late window where the Arizona Cardinals are going up against the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are 3.5-point favorites here. Jay, Brock Purdy has been confirmed as the starter. Is this the last we see of Mac Jones until he plays for another team next season? And to add to that, how much are you giving up for Mac Jones?
I'm not giving up anything for Mac Jones, but I think the 49ers should think about moving forward with him. But we've been through that, and we beat that horse to death.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've decided that it's going to be Brock Purdy now. If they're starting Brock Purdy in this game, I think they have just decided it's going to be Brock Purdy.
I agree with you.
And unless someone comes in with an offer for Brock Purdy, Brock Purdy will be the starting QB for the San Francisco 49ers next year. Where do you think the best landing spot for Mac Jones is? Obviously, at the start, we were kind of talking about how there's not loads of great quarterbacks coming out in the draft. Where would it be? And I think maybe teams do give up something for Mac Jones here, like maybe even a third for Mac Jones.
I'm sorry. I completely missed what you were saying because of all the bullshit going on in my house right now.
No, that's okay. I was just saying that I do see Mac Jones going somewhere, and I reckon someone might give them a decent deal for it because at the start of the podcast, we were obviously talking about the rookie QB class not being amazing. So where do you think Mac Jones will wind up next year? Where could you see him playing?
San Francisco.
Do you think he'll still be in San Francisco next year?
I do.
You don't think they've just decided Brock Purdy will be their quarterback next year?
They're still going to want a backup. And where's Mac Jones going to go? That's not an awful fucking fit. New York? Yeah, let's go to the Jets. That'll be a great fit. Like, there's not a team out there. I mean, unless it's Atlanta, I'm not going.
Yeah, I just don't know whether it'll be up to Mac Jones, really. Like, I think someone might come with a pick, like with a series of picks because they just don't have anyone.
People
and they're trying to save their job. There's like 9 teams.
And then what if Mac Jones just says, "I'm not coming"? Then they
I think
can't
that's fair.
trade him.
People
I just think Mac players don't have any say in it. You know what I mean? They're always like, well, if you just trade them, they're going to go. There is players, and especially quarterbacks, just be like, I'm not playing for you. And then you're never going to trade for them. Or when they reach out to the 49ers and your agent calls up the Jets and says, Mac doesn't want to play for you, and it's going to be a fucking problem if you trade for him.
I think that's fair. I just don't know whether he does that if he gets the option of a starting job. And I agree, don't go to the Jets. I'm like, don't go to the Jets.
I'm just wondering, outside of Atlanta, what team with real quarterback issues are you trying to go to? You know what I mean?
I think the one that springs to mind where you have some weapons, you have some semblance of what's going on is the Raiders as well. Like, I think Mac Jones won't suit what the Raiders can do.
I agree. I'm already sold Kyler's there, though, by the end of the year or by the beginning of the year.
Yeah, in which case it could be Arizona that you go to because Arizona have a couple of weapons as well. But there's like teams out there with quarterback questions and no quarterback answers. I wonder if Mac Jones takes the starting job there. But as you say, we have spoken a lot about Mac Jones. So go watch all of our other stuff. But
and then,
Jay, with the move,
and then if there's guys out there who are available and you're those teams, and I believe this guy will be available, then you have to ask yourself, would I rather have Mac Jones or Tua?
Yeah, would I rather have Mac Jones, Tua, or Kyler Murray? It turns out as well could be available. Could be available as well.
We're seeing a new era in the NFL too, because we never saw quarterbacks move before, and we are seeing teams are way more willing to move off from a quarterback, than they used to be. So it kind of started with McVay and them, right? Like they kind of started this when they traded for Stafford, for Goff, and then, it's just changed. But it's really weird how quick teams are willing to move on from a quarterback now, which I hate that they don't develop, but I love to see a team who's like, okay, we fucked up and we need to fix this right now.
Yeah. Oh my God. Devon Achane is so good. Sorry, Jay. Devon Achane is so good. There was just a totally busted play, and he's managed to make 5 or 6 yards on a totally busted play to get down to 1 yard of the within 1 yard of the end zone. We're at the 2-minute warning in Madrid. The Dolphins are on the 1 yard line or even the half yard line.
3rd and goal, though. That's the question. If you do not put a touchdown up right here, you are asking to lose this game with as much time as you're leaving on the clock, because we know what'll happen. This happens with every team, just not the Dolphins. If you get that field goal, you're gonna fucking play prevent. They're gonna bounce down the field really quick, get in field goal range, and then they're gonna beat you up for a touchdown the rest of the game. So this for the win. They need this touchdown on 3rd down. Here's my question, Maddie. If you don't get this, right? It's literally at best, if they don't use a touchdown, if they don't use a timeout, it's 1 minute, 20 seconds when you kick the field goal at best. Do you just say fuck it and go for it on 4th down? Because if you don't get it, you would then make the Commanders have to drive from their end zone to try to beat you, where you could go to overtime. I'm almost, me, I'm a kick the field goal kind of guy. As long as you don't lose yards on this play, I almost think you go for it 2 times in a row. And we both know if this was the Eagles, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Yeah, and or like lots of other aggressive teams. Like if it
I
was
just
the
mean the
Chiefs,
tush
if it was
push.
the Lions, but with
Yeah,
the
but the
tush
tush
push,
push,
definitely.
yeah.
With if I'm the Dolphins, I'm definitely going for it on fourth down here. Like 100% going for it on fourth down.
As long as you don't lose
as I don't
yards,
go
I
backwards,
agree.
or like they're basically at the half-yard line. If I'm a yard and a half out, I just go, look, my team should be able to get it over the line from here. And the only time they've successfully stopped the Commanders from scoring points is when they forced the Commanders to start from the 1 yard line. And they nearly got 2 safeties on that drive as well. So
And do you
get them to start from the 1 yard line?
Do you risk a quarterback sneak with a quarterback with a head concussion issues?
I don't risk a quarterback sneak with Tua, whether he's got a head concussion injuries or he's not the right quarterback to be doing a quarterback sneak with. I don't think. But with like Ollie Gordon is their guy from 1 yard out. They've already scored from. This is where they got their touchdown from before the game. I'm definitely going for it. Matt Gay has already missed a kick as well in this game. So how close is Matt? What is Matt Gay's field goal range? The last time you had the Commanders on the 1 yard line, you nearly got a safety twice in that same drive. And here's the play: 3rd down and goal.
Why are you in shot? See, I hate this pistol formation at the fucking line. I hate it. And if you pass it, you're an idiot. If you run it, yeah, because you made him run an 8-yard fucking run instead of a half-yard run.
Yeah.
I don't understand this pistol on the goal line, and you see more and more teams do it. They did this in Atlanta with Bijan Robinson. It's like, what the fuck are you making him start 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage to get a half yard? You just made a half-yard run take 8 yards. I don't fucking get it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I also really don't understand this trend, and the Colts did it last week with Taylor. You have an elite running back between the tackles. Like Devon Achane is elite between the tackles,
Yes.
and Ollie Gordon seems to be a good red zone tackle. If you burst it to the outside, you are relying on every single player to make that block. Like every player on your offensive line has to make the block if you're doing it to the outside. It might be the best run in terms of getting your running back in without the potential of being tackled. Like your running back might go in untouched if you go outside the tackles, but you rely on every single guy. Whereas Devon Achane running downhill between the tackles, he's gonna make a half a yard. He'll make a half a yard in that sequence. So I don't understand bursting it to the outside there. That's a poor play call from Mike McDaniels.
I think they were just trying to,
The Commanders have taken the timeout.
I think it's one of those, they outthought themselves because they're going to think we go up the middle, so we go to the other. But if you're going to do that, then it should just be a pitch. So your running back can use his speed to get all the way to the corner, right? Like one of those pitches off to the side because it gives them more opening. I just hate the pistol from there, too. I don't get that. It drives me absolutely insane that you're from the pistol right there.
It's mad that Kinlaw came up with that tackle. Kinlaw hasn't been able to stop anything on the run since he joined the NFL. Kinlaw was one of those guys. He was like one of those guys who came in and everybody thought he was going to be amazing, and he's a D tackle that can't stop the run. They're going for.
I know, but that was just a random stray shot. I was like, "Damn, See, I go for it here too, but I hated the last play call.
Here we go. They're under center. Ollie Gordon at running back. Nope. No push forward there from the Commanders, from the Dolphins at all. Like nothing from them at all there. That is terrible play calling. Okay.
If I'm the Commanders, I try to take a play right now to pick any play that I can get a guy open for 4 to 8 yards. That's all I want on this first play. I want 4 to 8 yards to get away from that goal line and then start my hurry up offense from there.
Yeah, that is a bad sequence of. That is a bad sequence from the Dolphins to not get in. They got 2 plays.
If I'm the Commanders, I'm calling run for Mariota. I'm trying some kind of run for Mariota to pick me up yards to get me away from that goal line.
Yeah, I think so. I think so as well. Like like almost a design scramble from there.
Yeah, even a, you know what I mean, a fake, put it in the running back's gut, pull it, and just bootleg out to the outside and pick up a few yards. But I don't have a problem with. I know they're going to go down and probably throw this because it's what you do right now. But I want away from that goal line with the way this game has went.
Yeah. Oh, great. Debo over the middle.
Perfect.
They're out. Now they're out to that 30-yard line.
Now we're in hurry up, but we don't have to be rushing, and I love that.
Yeah, and obviously good for you that Debo's the guy catching it over the middle there. Good for your fantasy.
Yeah, that's about 4 points right there for me.
If the Dolphins lose, my best bet on them here, like from where they were, that is going to be crazy because the Commanders haven't stopped them apart from at the 1 yard line all game. They haven't stopped them the whole time.
Did McDaniel call a timeout?
Dolphins timeout.
Okay.
All right. I like it. Aggressive. Sorry, Jay, back to the Arizona Cardinals, San Francisco 49ers here. Let's get our picks in. The money is moving towards the 49ers here, but are you still surprised that the spread is still this low? And why do you think it is this low? Because we both picked them as a best bet.
I think it's just injuries. I really think that it's injuries, divisional game, that kind of thing that keeps it down there. Plus, the 49ers don't blow people out. Like, that's just not their game. But this is one of my best bets, and I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, I'm sticking with it as well. It's quite interesting, I think, that that Purdy has moved the line by half a point. So it was 3 points when we selected when it looked like it would be Mac Jones, and now it's 3.5 with Purdy coming in. I thought that was an interesting move.
You're an NFC East guy. Who is the Washington's kicker? Do you know, and where is he good from? I don't even know who their kicker is right now.
It's Matt Gay. He's missed one already today.
Yeah, but he does have a leg.
Today from
he does have a leg.
He has a leg. Maybe you want it inside the 50, though.
Well, no, I get that, but I'm in my head calculating, do we need to get to the 40 or 45, right? And I'm thinking you have a shot at the 45. So
he's not like guaranteed. He's not like guaranteed leg, Matthew.
No, but at this point, you just want to give yourself a shot, right?
Is this 4-down territory for the Commanders from here?
No, I think you punt it and go play for overtime if you don't get it.
Oh, they got it. Okay.
See, now they're in field goal range.
I guess.
I actually hate that he went out of bounds. I hate that he went out of bounds right there. Make the Dolphins use their timeout. Make them use that timeout.
That is a great route from 84 there. He's absolutely cooked him. He's absolutely cooked him on that one. Let's continue in. Let's continue in with the game because we've only got 57 seconds left. If not getting the touchdown there, that might be the nail in the coffin for Mike McDaniel just getting a different job now in the NFL. Like, they haven't been able to stop them apart from inside the 5-yard line where they've stopped them twice. The Commanders have stopped the Dolphins twice in the 5-yard line.
Oh, Miami! I thought Miami had one timeout left, but they don't. Okay, going out of bounds wasn't as bad as I thought.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it?
I'm not going to lie to you. I let this run down as far as it can go, and I spiked the fucking ball.
Yeah, I think I'm passing it there. Oh, my God, that could have been a turnover. Mariota just got so lucky. That is great play from the wide receiver there.
That's why you run the ball, and that's why you run the ball.
Yeah,
that's why you spike it, run the ball, or run the ball, spike it, and kick the field goal. That's exactly what I would have done: is run the ball.
Yeah, it hits him in the face mask. Oh yeah, that's a pick. That's a pick six if he comes away with it. All right, run the ball. Washington don't have a timeout, do they?
No, nobody does anymore.
Washington have two. No, don't Washington have two? No, they don't. All right, okay. Well, they're down then. That's where they're kicking from if they don't make any extra. What a mad play. What a mad play that is. just hurling it up. That's two crazy plays to run there.
I don't think it was that bad, though, because he threw it where he needed to. Only Moore could have caught that. So, like, I get it. He took a shot at the end zone. The placement was what I was okay with, right? If Mariota throws that short, it could be a pick. It could be a pass interference, too, but it could be a pick if he throws that short. So he threw it where only Moore could get it, which I've given Mariota some shit for his accuracy, and that was one of the better balls I've seen him throw because he protected it.
Okay,
now
to win.
Jay hit the field goal.
It's right. He's missed it. He's missed it right. He's missed it right. No good. No good. We're going to overtime.
Well,
that's like run the ball. Left. Get closer.
10 seconds left. You hit a quick out. You give your kicker a chance for a field goal.
Yeah.
So Miami hits a quick out right here, leaves 2 to 4 seconds on the clock, comes out and kicks that field goal. You have to protect the sidelines right now if you're the Commanders. You can't let anything get thrown to the sidelines because they're starting from where the kick was, which is almost the 50.
Yep. Yep. You see, this is in games, right? You know, when people talk, like, it used to be that kickers weren't as important in the NFL, but now we have kickers who can kick it from 70. Now we have kickers who can kick it from anywhere on the field, right? Well, within reason, 70.
Oh, you only got about 2 more years of this. I think they're gonna make the goalpost smaller at some point. I think we got about 2 more years.
That's the Miami Dolphins right there. That is why Waddle is not a number 1 wide receiver. Jalen Waddle drops
I said, if he gets out, you give your kicker a chance, right?
He's out.
You're talking about what, a 62-ish yard kick if he gets out of bounds right there.
Yeah, exactly. He's getting out of bounds, right? If he catches that ball, he's getting out of bounds.
Right, and then you line up for a 62-yard kick, And so now what do? Your only chance is a Hail Mary because you don't want to start tossing the ball around and fucking that up and giving them a touchdown at the end of the game.
And a Hail Mary.
It looks like a punt return. Look at how many guys are back. That looks like a fucking punt return.
Yeah, a Hail Mary with Tua's arm as well. They did the right thing there.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot Noodle Arms was on there. Okay.
Oh my God.
Well,
Jets cornerback. Overtime. Sorry, into overtime. Breaking news: Jets cornerback Chris Boyd is in critical condition in Manhattan Hospital after being shot earlier today as well. So another
fuck is wrong with people? Okay, don't even get me started. I go on a rant about people fucking shooting people too. I just went off on this yesterday, so it's still a little fresh in my brain. Everybody should have a problem with people shooting people, but I am really fucking sick of it at this point, so we should just move on to football.
Yeah, definitely. Right. We've
Thoughts and prayers, though.
Overtime. We've got some time in overtime. That is 2 bad football teams going up against each other. The Dolphins recovering a muff punt, but they're not able to get it in from the 1-yard line twice. And then the Commanders missing a kick when they've driven within kicking range. Jay, 2 very, very good teams in the NFC, though. Probably 2. This is a big NFC clash here. The Los Angeles Rams are 3-point favorites over the Seattle Seahawks. Jay, can the Seattle Seahawks defense, get to Matthew Stafford and speed him up? They need to take away that possession passes that the Rams have become really efficient at this season.
I'm not joking when I tell you I see 3 or 4 sacks today coming from this Seattle team. I think they're going to be in Matt Stafford's face all day. I don't think they get the credit they deserve. And I've said it a million times. They're one of the best teams in the NFC right now. And they're legitimately a contender as long as Sam Darnold doesn't do some boneheaded shit at the worst possible time, because that honestly, that's another guy who needs to be in the conversation right now for MVP.
Yeah, and I think they're quite, the Rams' offensive line as well can be quite up and down, right? Even season to season, they're quite up and down. But game to game, they're a bit, they can be a bit up and down as well. And I think with with that Seattle Seahawks defensive line, I think you've hit the nail on the head. They're probably the most underrated defensive line in the league. But Jay, let's talk a little bit about Sam Darnold here. the Rams' defensive line is genuinely one of the best in the league and gets the credit it very rightly deserves. Can they pressure Sam Darnold into making mistakes? Do you see this as one of the Sam Darnold's game? Big game, NFC clash, ramifications for the 1 seed up against a really good defensive line.
If they somehow make it so that Sam Darnold has to put the team on their back, then I see that they're going to get some pressure and cause problems. I'm betting McDonald's idea of this is to keep Sam Darnold in front of the chains, not behind the downs, and then you just keep getting the ball out of his hands quick. You got a lot of weapons on that Seattle team, and I like the Seahawks offensive line. So if the Seahawks offensive line can do what they're going to do, it could be a great day for Sam Darnold. But yeah, if you make him like have to make big plays and come from behind, it could be a long day for Sam Darnold and the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think with the Seattle offense, they clearly made the right decision sticking with their 2 young tackles. Do you remember they drafted their left tackle and their right tackle in the same draft? And there was a lot of stuff about them like when they were getting beat, but the Seahawks were constantly getting beat up the middle. Like that's where they were getting beat. But people who only check the box scores would see this amount of sacks and you blame that on the tackles, right? But they were constantly getting beat up the middle. And then Greg Zabel looks like he's doing really, really well at the guard position as well. He's one of those tackles in draft time that was listed as a tackle and has now moved to guard as well. So I think the Seahawks offensive line looks good. I think that's going to be a great battle, the Seahawks O-line and the D-line. And Jay, someone who got traded at the trade deadline that we didn't see much of last week was Rashid Shaheed. Do you think he'll come into the game more with Jackson Smith-Njigba on one side and Rashid Shaheed on the other side? Do you think that could be really explosive potential from the Seahawks in this one?
Yeah, and I really think it's going to help Jackson Smith-Njigba, which is wild to say because he's having a fucking good year. But he's being help and still doing this. I think the guy who helps the most, though, might be Cooper Kupp, too. I think this might help open up Cooper Kupp. I think it gives the Seahawks another weapon. I think this was the best trade of the trade deadline just because of where the Seahawks are at. I think Quentin Williams for an overall trade is going to have such an impact over time. But for this year, I think this is the best trade for a team who's going for it right now. I think it does a lot of help. And he's a speedster who's going to take the top off the defense. How in tune are him and Sam Darnold right now? I don't know about that yet, but I still think at the very least he takes pressure off of everybody else.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think it's his down the field threat, right? Like you have Cooper Kupp, you have Jackson Smith-Njigba. They're doing great work underneath. And that's what, oh my God, Washington are a terrible football team. Marcus Mariota throws an interception on the first play of overtime. The Dolphins have got the ball at the 30. Jake, here do you just kick the walk-off field goal to win the game?
I would, but that's not what they're going to do.
Yeah, at
worst, I ask my kicker, what hash do you want it on? And I fall on that hash mark and let him kick from the center, the right, or the left, whatever he's comfortable with. And then I go from there. Yeah. But we'll see what Miami does right here. Miami has been making bad decisions, and they haven't been playing great. So let's get this game over as quick as we can.
Yeah, if you don't trust your kicker to kick from here, then they shouldn't be in the NFL, right? So take all the risks out.
Your punter should be able to kick a field goal from here.
Yeah, I just think athletes should be able to kick a field goal from here if you have just a decent amount. It's a little further, like maybe you want to get it inside the 30 just to make triply sure. But, or Devon when you've got Devon Achane in the backfield, he could just run it in for a touchdown from there, to be fair. But, they just get a 10-yard gain on that run. They're probably going to keep on running it in. That game looks like it is over. I say that he might miss the field goal as well, but good win.
Or you get a fucking fumble. I don't know why you're having such a bad year and everything that can go wrong does go wrong for you. Why wouldn't you just end this game as fast as you can? But whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Jay, on the other side of the ball for the Seattle Seahawks, we just talked about their offense and how efficient the offense has been, and with Rashid Shaheed in there. The Rams have started to play this real style of like possession football where they've got three tight ends on the field, or it's Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and stuff. With that possession style of football, how much does that help their offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, with the offense really taking that possession style of football on?
Well, it's another thing that we've talked about. At least you give your team a chance to fucking breathe. The defense, when they're not on the field, they get a chance to recover, and they're not on the field all the time. I think it's just McVay seeing, and this is why McVay's McVay and great coaches do that. You see the talent you have, and you build your system around it instead of trying to make the talent fit your system.
Yeah, and they drafted Ferguson this year, and I can't remember, Colby Parkinson, I think, as well, at the tight end position. And then they've still got Tyler Higbee. So those three tight end sets are a big deal, and they cause mismatches. Jay, you took the Seahawks as a best bet. Are you riding with the Seahawks in this one?
Yes, sir. Sticking with the Seahawks.
Jay, I'm riding with the Seahawks with you in that one as well. A huge game in the AFC West here. The Denver Broncos are going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites. Jay, is this a must-win game for Kansas City?
I don't know. I hate to say it's a must-win game for Kansas City just because we watch, but the way they've been playing, this is a game you definitely want to get. It's in your division. It's going to make it really hard to win your division if you lose to divisional opponents. So I don't know if it's must win, but it's borderline. This is a really important win for them.
I think it's a must win for the division. Like, the Broncos will be 9-2 with their great defense as well. And if I'm right about the Chargers will go to 8-3, whereas the Chiefs will go be at 5-5. So it's a must win for the division. But with the AFC the way it is, that playoff spot is still open if you're at 5-5. Like, there's no one that's taking conditions of the wild card spot if you're at 5-5. So I don't think they'll miss the playoffs, but I think the division might run away from them as well. Jay, the big story coming out of this game, especially for fantasy football owners, is J.K. Dobbins is on injury reserve now. Can R.J. Harvey carry the load to help Bo Nix and this Denver Broncos offense?
The J.K. Dobbins injury is going to hurt Denver. It's going to make more be put on Bo Nix. J.K. Dobbins was playing out of this world the last couple of years. I mean, I swear he plays great until he gets injured every year. This is like just J.K. Dobbins. This is what happens. This is why I quit drafting him in fantasy football.
Yeah, I agree. The Dolphins
Miami wins.
The winning kick. So yeah, Miami wins. Well done to Miami, and a great game in Spain, and a great set of international games in Europe has come to an end. So no more of those early starts for you American fans as well. But I think that RJ Harvey has shown enough, started to take the role off J.K. Dobbins a little bit, but J.K. Dobbins gives them that experienced player between the tackles, and then RJ Harvey was the nice big game player. But I do think that RJ Harvey can take over, just not in the same style, which becomes difficult.
Yeah, but no, like I don't care how good he is at blitz pickup. He is not J.K. Dobbins at this point in his career, and that could become a problem for Bo Nix.
Yeah, and I think it'll become a really big problem against the Chiefs because the Spagnuolo, he sends pressure. Like that's what he does. Jay, is this Denver Broncos defense good enough to support the struggling offense against this Chiefs team? Because this Broncos defense, one of the best in the league, top 3 in the league.
They are, but here's the problem when you have a struggling defense. If the other team gets hot, now you're in trouble, right? So they are good enough, but the Chiefs are also good enough to, get out ahead and make you chase them. So that defense has to be on its game today to make sure that they're not playing catch up behind the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think so as well. Jay, this spread has moved from 3-5 to 4 and sorry, it's moved from 3.5 to 4.5 since Thursday, and that must be with the J.K. Dobbins injury explaining the big spread. But a running back doesn't usually make a point, so clearly the money is on the Chiefs here. Jay, who have you got in this one? It's obviously in Denver as well.
Give me Kansas City because Kansas City, when their back's up against the wall, figures out how to get it done.
Yeah, I think at 3.5, at 3, I'm definitely on Kansas City. At 3.5, I'm still kind of on Kansas City. At 4.5, like over a field goal now, I'm moving to the Broncos. With the Broncos defense and the way that they play in that fourth quarter on the big downs, Bo Nix seems to get it done there. I think they'll end up making it a close game, and that over a field goal. I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City win, but don't cover the point spread.
Just a warning, Maddie. By the end of the season, Denver's going to break your heart.
Oh, I'm sure. Don't worry. I'm sure they will. Jay, the Cleveland Browns.
As much as I like Denver too, I have this hard time. I can't cheer for him because I find Sean Payton kind of a fucking disgusting human being. So it's hard to cheer for them.
Yeah, for what? Yeah, difficult. Jay, the Cleveland Browns went up against the are going up against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens 7.5-point favorites in this one. Have we seen the Ravens being efficient enough to cover 7.5 points against one of the best defenses in the league?
I don't know if I can even say that it's the Ravens being efficient enough. It's the fact that Cleveland figures out how to lose games, and it's usually because they keep their defense on the field too long. And I mean, just you got Dylan Gabriel and his quarterback. He's checked down Charlie. You have a hard time moving the ball. So I don't know if it has. I think it has more to do with the Browns team than the Ravens.
Yeah, I personally like Lamar Jackson's coming back from injury. Like they look pretty decent last week, but not stellar. Like not anything crazy with Lamar Jackson coming back from injury. They didn't look like the Ravens of old, where you think they can just score huge amounts of points on anyone. Like they got 27 points against the Vikings, which obviously isn't terrible, but it wasn't that much. But the Browns have been such a stellar defense considering how bad their offense has been. That I do think like over a touchdown in a divisional game, I think this will be close with that defense. It's a must not bet for me. It's not a bet that I would take. And over a touchdown spread in the divisional game with a great defense. So Jay, give me the Browns in this one. I think the Browns are actually a really good football team. They're just really struggling at the quarterback position since that Deshaun Watson incident.
And that's why I don't think they're a really good football team, because you're only as good as your quarterback. I don't think Dylan Gabriel's that guy. And as much as I don't like the spread, I'm taking the Ravens minus the 7.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Mac Jones potential to Cleveland. That would be quite funny if they let Baker Mayfield go and they end up with Mac Jones. Very similar styles of quarterback.
I definitely, if I was Mac Jones, go there way before I went to New York.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to go to New York. Jay, got 3 huge games this week. We've already spoken about the Rams and the Seahawks, the Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs, but another huge one on Sunday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles, 2.5-point favorites against the Detroit Lions. Jay, do the Eagles have enough defensive pieces to slow down the Lions' offense?
They absolutely do, and I still don't think they will, right? Like, they are a good enough team. I don't know why. I really think the Lions are going to come in and make a statement in this game. I think the Lions' offense is hard to stay with. And the Lions at times have a defense that's sneakier than you think they are. I also think that Philadelphia has really struggled with big plays, getting big chunks of yardage at times, and it's only Smith that it seems it goes through. So they need to find out who's going to step up besides Smith on these big plays. I don't know why. I really think that Detroit wins this game, and so I am going to stick with them because they were one of my best bets, I believe, at minus 2.5 or at plus 2.5.
They were one of your best bets at plus 2.5. Yeah, Jay, I think the same as you. I think the Detroit Lions defense is much better than people give it credit for, especially now Aiden Hutchinson is back in it. Aiden Hutchinson could easily be an amazing defensive player, and congratulate, well done for getting that big contract. Great job from the Lions signing him that early and seeing how much of a drop off they had when he wasn't in the team last season. And I think the Eagles offense, they win games, but the offense has been sluggish. And against the Lions, you can't really have a sluggish offense. It's not something that you can have because of how explosive the Lions have the potential to be. And I do think that third cornerback is still such a big problem. And with the amount of motion and stuff that the Lions get, they can exploit those weaknesses, right, as well. So I'm going to take the Eagles and I'm going to take the Lions in this one as well at +2.5. Just because I think it wouldn't surprise me if the Eagles win, but feels like a pick 'em. So give me the team that are the underdog in a pick 'em here. And Jay, we're only 10 minutes on. We've still got our fantasy fantasy must-pick players to go to. So let's finish off with the Las Vegas Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites. Jay, the Vegas Raiders play in a bowl. So is this a game where the Cowboys can feel more comfortable away from home than in most of their other games?
Yeah, and it's not that far. It's not that far of travel from Dallas to Las Vegas. It is like for Dallas to even go to Philly, right? So I think they'll be fine with the travel. I think they'll be fine in the dome. I think that we'll see the defense step up against the run game. I think the D tackles with Williams and Clark will be a difference in this game when it comes to making sure Ashton Genty doesn't hit the hole up the middle. I don't know what Las Vegas can do. I don't even understand why the point spread's so low. I thought that the Cowboys would have definitely been favored more than 3.5 against a really bad Las Vegas team, because we've seen that the Cowboys can put up points. You got CeeDee Lamb, you got fucking George Pickens, you got a good running game. The defense has been suspect, but you're playing against a really bad offensive team right now. So I have to go with the Cowboys in this because I thought the spread should have been bigger.
Yeah, I think with the Cowboys, they've only won one game away from home this season, and it was against the New York Jets. They're much better at home, and they seem to just be because the offense is such a fast offense, it's such a quick playing offense, that the dome really helps them offensively. My one worry is kind of that the Raiders offense does have Brock Bowers in there, and he can be a really difficult guy to cover, especially when your passing stats are not great. But Jay, they are coming off a bye, which has meant that Quinyon Williams has had time to settle in. That D tackle position is going to look good. They should stop Genty up front and be able to actually get pressure on Geno Smith up the middle. So I'm taking the Cowboys in this one as well.
Just quick on your point about Bowers, is you're absolutely right. He's amazing. But if Geno's playing as poorly as he is, it doesn't really matter how good your tight end is.
And look, tight ends are amazing when they're a mismatch as well. So if you have if they have a DB on them or they have a linebacker on them, but if he's the only focal point of your offense you need to stop, you can have a linebacker and a safety or a linebacker and a DB kind of covering that point, because the Raiders took away Jacoby Myers. So I expect them to be able to get something done against Brock Bowers there. Jay, to finish off, 5 minutes until kickoff, who is your fantasy player to watch, your must start of people who've been debating starting?
Josh Jacobs, Green Bay Packers, start him, big game.
Yeah, and I think going up against the Giants, they'll have plenty of time on the ball, I think, this week. I think the Packers are going to spend a lot of time on the field, potentially.
Jacobs has been so solid this year, too, and he doesn't get the credit for how solid he is because he doesn't bust a lot of 60, 70-yard runs, but he does bust a lot of 20-yard runs, and people are underestimating how good Josh Jacobs is. We just talked about it a week or two ago when I'm like, every time I turn around, this kid is just picking up yards.
Yeah, and Jay, for mine, it may not surprise people to know from who I've just spoken about, but it is RJ Harvey of the Denver Broncos. With J.K. Dobbins out, you need to start him this week because the guy behind him doesn't seem to have much going on for it. He'll get a line amount of carries, and with the Denver offense, it does run through the run game a lot as well. And they've been using RJ Harvey as quite an explosive piece of their offense as well. So it won't just be possession downs. He could get some big plays out there as well. All right, guys, 5 minutes to go until kickoff. I hope all of your bets come in, and I hope you succeed in fantasy. Jay, send us out like you always do.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe. Like I always say, there's a bunch of shows on the channel. Just hit the notification button. We got something for everybody. We really appreciate all your support. And we're glad you like the new view that they've given us to be able to record in these 2 different views. You guys seem to like it. We picked up a lot of viewers last week. I seen them rolling through in and out this week too. So we really love the support. Just make sure you drop a comment. Be heard. I know a lot of people, like when I'm on YouTube, I don't comment on live feeds and stuff, so I get that. But we enjoy the interaction. So just feel free to say hi. We appreciate you. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.